Card, it's time to do one of our favorite pastimes.
Ooh, make everything about us.
Read the transcripts of an interview and overanalyze every little tiny meaning of each word that was said. So, Travis
You do it.
Perry,
You do it so well too.
we're so good at it. Travis Perry left Kentucky for Ole Miss, left Mark Pope for Chris Beard. Chris Beard recruited him out of high school when it was toe to toe with John Calipari. I think it's safe to say Travis Perry was a Cal guy. He gave Mark Pope a year. Must not have loved the experience and or the vision for his future. Anyways, everyone's being cordial about this. Everyone's saying, yeah, we understand it was a tough decision. Mark Pope spent like a month earlier this offseason saying how much he disagreed with the decision and kind of putting some spotlight on it. Like, we didn't want this to happen. Travis made his own decision. Travis has finally spoken. He met with reporters in Oxford to basically give his side of the story here yesterday. And I'm going to read everything that I can find that he has said. Shout out to On3, who put this together in article form. But here's what Travis Perry said about his decision to leave Kentucky. Quote, I was very pleased with my freshman season, and I feel like we had a great group of guys I was able to learn from and just kind of transform my game. It's hard for any freshman coming in, especially for a freshman in the SEC, the best conference ever in college basketball. I was very blessed to have that opportunity. I have nothing but love and respect for those guys. I wish them all the best. But when I got in the portal, I felt like Coach Beard's vision for me was exactly what I was looking for. I felt like we had a lot of guys coming here who wanted to win, wanted to compete at a high level, and I felt like I could come in and impact that. I'm gonna stop there. There's more quotes that I want to get into here, but any thoughts on the first half of Travis Perry's reasoning for his departure?
So he wanted to go somewhere he could compete. That's sticking out to me right now because as far as competition wise, I don't see a more like if I'm putting up a competitive roster up against each other, I think there's a little bit more competition um over at Kentucky compared to what's over at Ole Miss. Now, the point about the vision and what Coach Beard saw for him, I'm buying that a little bit more because I do think there's a world where Chris Beard does view Travis Perry differently than maybe Mark Pope views Travis Perry. Because I think Mark Pope's made it very clear he loves Perry, like he loves him, right? Like he would want him to be his son, all that, respects him, no hard feelings. But there's a difference between, to me, loving someone and also like I can love someone. I could also think differently of you as a basketball player and how I view you on a certain basketball team. So I can see that being a thing. For some reason I'm very caught up on the whole I want to go somewhere where I can compete or competition portion of it because that really doesn't align with this move.
I feel like the guys coming here want to win, want to compete at a high level. That's what he loves about Ole Miss.
They want
Not the first thing I feel like you would call out leaving Kentucky for Ole Miss. Just say that out loud. Does Kentucky not have guys that want to win? Not have guys that want to compete at a high level? Like
it,
that being the
it.
first point's a little interesting.
It's also Kentucky. What do we? It's Kentucky basketball. Like to put it quite simply, I mean, let's see here. Ole Miss basketball has two Sweet 16s, one of them being last year. The one before that was in 2001. They have only made the tournament in, let's see, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10 times in forever, like just on that whole like portion of it. When you start having the whole why are you coming here thing, I want to win, conversation, it's really hard to put Kentucky up against Ole Miss. That ain't fair to Ole Miss. That's not the teams they should be comparing themselves to.
Yeah,
Not even
respectfully to all parties involved. If you want to win and you want to compete and you want to be on a roster full of dudes that want to win and want to compete, you go to Kentucky. You don't
right.
leave Kentucky for Ole Miss and then say that's the main reason why.
And
Um,
that's sorry before you go. That's respectfully to Ole Miss too. I'm not over here. I'm not even down in like what Chris Beard and them are doing over at Ole Miss. I do think that program's gonna be really good. It's just it's like the great Meek Mill once said, man, it's levels. It's levels to this shit.
Yeah, but also like quick fact check. Let me pull up the Ole Miss roster just so I have this completely right. You wanted to go to a roster full of guys that want to win and compete. Nothing says want to win and compete like AJ Storr and Nico Bundalo, right?
I mean, that's those are honestly the first. If we were playing the word association code names game. Shout out to the wives. Uh, yeah, that'd be a word I'd use to connect those two.
I mean, it's not exactly the sell on the resumes of all the guys on the Ole Miss roster. It's fascinating. The
Is it
more interesting, believe it or not, there's a more interesting side of what Travis Perry had to say than this.
actually? Oh, wow, I can't wait to hear this.
I'm going to read another full quote. This is really long, but I believe he was asked a question about, Chris Beard recruited you out of high school. How much did that factor in to choosing to leave Mark Pope to play for him? This was what Travis Perry had to say. He said, that was definitely very important for me. The relationship myself and my family have with him, I feel like is really strong. Whenever I got in the portal, I wanted to go somewhere where I knew that I was trusted by the coach, but also I could trust them in the same way. And I feel like with the whole staff, top to bottom, my relationship with Coach Beard is great. From the time I was in high school, he recruited me very hard. When I got in the portal, it was more the same, just talking through some things. The honesty was most important for me. Being honest about what I needed to work on, but being honest about the vision here. The relationship was huge for me. Maybe this is me reading between the lines. Maybe this is me getting a little spicy. I don't know. But for him to go in depth in the biggest reason why, oh, why is this the decision? Honesty. Somewhere I know I can trust the coach. Somewhere I know I can be trusted by the coach. I mean, inherently, just a little bit, you're implying that you didn't have that with Mark Pope at Kentucky. Am I
Can I?
stretching? This video is brought to you by NBA 2KLab.com. 2K Lab worked with us last summer as well. They're one of our favorite entities in all of sports gaming. We want to show you their college basketball stadium locator challenge game. And I'm going to share a screen right now as we do this. South Carolina, bang. Oh,
Ooh,
okay, that's pretty good. Next, North Carolina. Why are we only getting the Carolinas?
please
Bang.
lock in.
St. John's. That's New
New
York.
York.
Bang.
Where's New Jersey?
We're on fire. Colorado. I actually don't know what state Colorado is.
It's it's in Colorado. There's a state of
Is that
Colorado.
this one?
It's to the right of Phoenix.
Anyway, you get the picture. This game's really fun. They've got more games as well, like Guess the NBA Player, Mystery Fantasy Draft, and more. Stay tuned for all of the college football content and games that they'll be putting together to help you get the best experience out of college football 26. Back to the video.
Can I give my version of reading between the lines?
Please.
This quote actually never comes to light. That last part that you mentioned doesn't come to light if Travis Perry hasn't spent like the last 3 months hearing Mark Pope talk about, oh, I love Travis. I wanted him here so bad. I thought he could be a great player here. Like, oh, this is great. I wanted him here so bad. I feel like Travis Perry is someone that I could be completely wrong, but I feel like Travis Perry is coming from a standpoint where he's like, don't say all that. That's not how you didn't really feel like that. And it's okay if you didn't feel like that, but don't come out here and say all this stuff about, oh, like I wanted Travis to be a legend here. I wanted him to graduate from here. I wanted him to be the Kentucky legend that he is. I love him. I love him so much. I wish he was still here. Like, do you actually like let's be honest on both sides here, okay? Could Travis Perry become a good player at Ole Miss? I actually do think he could be a solid player. I don't think that Mark Pope was in any spot where he's like rushing to play Travis Perry this season after he averaged 2 and 2 and couldn't shoot last year as a shooter.
Yeah, you're right.
Like it's I mean it's the fact of the matter is like did you push his hand to play? And that's fine. I'm good with Travis Perry being like, okay, I don't know if I'm gonna play at Kentucky, especially because I'm looking at it where he's bringing these guys in, and you know what he's gonna do the next year? He's gonna try to bring more guys in. And you want to know who he's looking at? He's looking at the top guards in the next class. That if Caleb Holt shows up to Kentucky, if Christian Collins goes to Kentucky, if Brandon McCoy goes to Kentucky, Tay Kinney, for all we know, Travis Perry is going to get bumped further down the line. So it makes sense And I feel like it could have just been, I don't know, like just too much talking around Travis Perry. And I feel like that's where this is necessarily coming from because he definitely sees what Mark Pope's saying about him. And he's like, okay, did you really like let's don't talk about how much you loved me and how much you saw me playing here when you actively are not letting your actions match up with your words.
So
Thank
I didn't think of it that way. I appreciate that, I don't know, stance or viewpoint on it. I think you're right. The only thing I would just miniaturely push back on, not to defend Mark Pope like crazy here, but like he played and got a big time opportunity this year. Now it was partially due to injuries, but like Travis Perry started games as a true freshman at Kentucky. Like
you.
he got a legitimate role by the end of the season, and he didn't really do anything with it, respectfully. So again, I like this whole development of like leaving Kentucky and Mark Pope recruiting over him. Both sides make sense. Like this should be one of the most clean cut, cut and dry decisions in this transfer cycle. Travis Perry should have left. Mark Pope should have recruited over him. The only part of all of this that has jumped out as feeling like it didn't belong here was Mark Pope's comments about how he should be a legend, right? Which I
Mhm.
think is probably you're probably right. That probably did leave a little sour taste in Travis's mouth of just, hey, why are we doing this? It didn't work. Like I wasn't a factor. Let's be real about it. And who know like it's not exactly because Mark Pope's comments about Travis leaving served Mark Pope in Kentucky a lot better than they did Travis Perry. Even if they were complimentary of Travis, it was all framed of like he shouldn't have left. We wanted him to stay. This wasn't our decision. And if I'm Travis, you're right. I feel some type of way about that. Of like, let's just move on. That wasn't the plan. You brought in better guards than me in your mind, and let's all be honest about it. He
Yeah.
probably didn't feel that was honest. He probably is now doubling down that honesty is what dragged him to Ole Miss. The irony here is Chris Beard an honest guy?
Actually, yeah, I think maybe he's too honest.
You think so?
Yeah, I would say like for better, if it's for good or bad reason, I feel like he actually is pretty honest.
Look, I don't know one way or the other. I just, if I was making a list of the most integrity driven college basketball coach, Chris Beard is nowhere near the top of the list.
Yeah, kind of true. Also having a realization to myself, like you know how I always come on here and I get like, oh, I don't like these coaches throwing players under the bus, or like I don't like Mick Cronin in post conferences or Rick Pitino calling his players fat. I think I might like that because I don't need any more like this sugarcoating stuff about players. Like just Travis Perry left because you brought in because you thought you could bring in better guards. You did bring in better guards. Let him go. That's the reason he left. We don't got to paint him in any other light. That is what it is. Let's just call a spade a spade.
Would you have liked it more from Mark Pope earlier in the summer if rather than saying, "Oh, I mean, this is heartbreaking. I'm devastated." He would have been a legend if he would have been like, "Yeah, he wasn't good enough. We had to bring in better players."
Or like a mix of something in between there. He could be like, you know what? I love Travis. I do. But like this is Kentucky and we're gonna bring in guys to compete. If you don't want to compete, then go play for Chris Beard.
That's the angle. It should have been, "Listen, I adore Travis, but this is Kentucky. The
Right.
best of the best will play here."
Right.
Leave it at that. And I
Yeah.
think Kentucky fans would have ate that up anyway. Final question for me on this. Is Mark Pope going to let Travis Perry get the last word on this?
No, this will be going on as long as Travis Perry's in college.
Well, it feels like, Mark Pope said his piece, maybe beat a dead horse for a full month while Travis sort of just sat there and watched. Travis finally gets to Ole Miss, got to do his tell all here. Mark Pope's certainly going to see it. I don't. We're kind of doing the like breakup, divorce, who gets the last word thing here, who wins the breakup. But I don't know. I can't tell. Mark Pope does not seem like the type to me to let anybody get the last word.
No, I don't think he will either. It's also crazy that we're living in a world where actually, I'll hold off on that. Yeah, they're not going to let him get the last word.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll keep paying attention to any future developments in the Travis Perry Kentucky saga.